Good morning. It's 41 past the hour. Okay, so we're getting up. There's more school closings, more cold out there again today. In fact, you might be getting a little tired of hearing and living through the cold, but it is definitely a factor. So today we sent Ashley Kirkland to Frei Chevrolet to find out more about car troubles in the cold. Ashley?
Good morning, Vicki. Now duty calls, and we know that Sean had some car troubles this morning because it was a little cold. So we wanted to get out here and show viewers what they can do if their car doesn't start, or if you're having a hard time just kind of getting that heat going or the engine revving. Now, I do want to let people know it may look a little foggy on the camera, but that's because when we came in the building from being outdoors, it's about 65 degrees warmer in the building. So the camera is just getting adjusted and it's all fogged up, so even the equipment has to get used to all of the temperature change and when it comes to a warmer climate. And so as you can see behind me, the people at Frei Chevrolet, they have laid out some of the tools that they'll have to show us about what we can do to kind of help our car along in this colder weather, because our cars suffer too, just as our pets do and just as our fingers do. I think I got a little bit of frostbite, Vicki. I know I'm being a wimp, but it's really cold out there. So we'll be back a little bit later with Jim Grumstrom from Frei Chevrolet, and he's going to talk to us more about how to care for your car in this weather. Back to you, Vicki.
After the hour, we have dangerously cold wind readings out there again this morning on the windshields. And, you know, let's be honest, your car might not be holding up as well as you think. Ashley Kirkland joins us this morning from Frei Chevrolet on ways to care for your car in the extreme cold. Ashley?
Good morning, Vicki. That's right. We're back here at Frei Chevrolet, and we think that our cars may be invincible, but in the wintertime, in the cold temperatures, they need an extra tender love and care as well, just as we do. So right now we're at Frei Chevrolet with Jim Grumstrom, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about what to do to care for our vehicles. Jim, thank you so much for being here. And I know that we covered this before we got this kind of bout of Arctic blast, how to care for your cars, but what should we do before we leave our homes when we're going out into the cold weather?
Certainly. One of the most important things, I believe, is that let your car warm up. And we were talking a little bit earlier about just like getting ready to go out for a run or a jog, you always do some stretching exercises. Your car needs to get that stretching exercise also. So if we can keep from running out, starting the car, dropping it into gear and going, and actually doing a little pre-planning and let the car warm up for 10 or 15 minutes, it is so much better for the car.
Right. And I see that you have the windshield wipers here up. What does that do to help your car in the morning?
One of the things that wipers have a habit of doing is freezing to the bottom of the windshield. And they really don't like that very much. And oftentimes you see people out there kind of chiseling them off the bottom of the glass and whatnot. The wipers get stuck to the glass, and unfortunately we damage the wipers by allowing that to happen. So a little forethought. Flip them up before you go to bed, especially if your car is sitting outside in the wind and snow. It'll make life a lot easier, plus it's a lot easier to scrape the windshield.
Absolutely. And I asked a little bit earlier about tires. Is it possible for our tires to bust on the highway because of the cold temperatures?
Really not bust, but there's a real good possibility that they're going to lose the air pressure inside them. And cold outside air has a way of affecting the pressure on the inside of the tire. Tires inherently over time slowly leak down through microscopic little passageways. So monitoring your tire pressure, the old story about Dad said go out and check your tire pressure once a week, it's still a really important thing. Most of the cars today have tire pressure monitors on them. Usually puts a light on your dash saying your tires are low, and it's really something important to either come back to a service facility that you have your car worked at, or go to a gas station that has an air hose and bring the tires back up to where they belong.
And you have one more tool here, which is used for a very simple thing that I kind of warned people about last week. What's that for that we should, the broom here, that we should do to our cars before we leave out in the morning?
Well, this is kind of an industrial grade snow broom. And you can see it's kind of a styrofoam. It isn't a broom per se, because brooms actually retain dirt. So if you sweep your garage floor with a broom and then broom your car off, chances are you're going to scratch your car real badly. This material doesn't absorb dirt. It's a nice kind of what we call snow rake, and it's really important to clean your car off. There's nothing worse than going down the highway with a foot of snow on your car and the person behind you now has a foot of snow on their windshield. Plus, you really need to be able to see out of the windshield, out of the side windows, and out of the back window as much as possible. Broom off your tail lights, broom off your headlights. Being seen in this weather is very important for you and your car.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Jim. Visibility is very important. And Jim did inform me that in one state, it's actually illegal to go out without brushing off the snow off your car, and you could get a ticket. So that's something to be cautious of. Maybe that'll come to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Back to you, Vicki.
Welcome back. Now, has your car hesitated to turn over during this bout of Arctic weather? Well, Ashley Kirkland is live with the experts at Frei Chevrolet to show us how to overcome car troubles in bad winter weather. Ashley?
Good morning, Sam. We're back here at Frei Chevrolet, and I'm underneath a car right now. They've raised up a car for me. This is going to be helpful to talk about some of the points as far as rust is concerned in this weather conditions. Now, I'm joined once again with Jim Grunstrom, the owner of Frei Chevrolet. Jim, how important is it to protect your car from rust during this weather, and what can you do to kind of take preventative measures?
In this climate, it's really, really hard to control rust. The salt and sand that's on the highway makes it very challenging for the underbody of the car. So what can we do? One, the manufacturers today are taking great steps at corrosion-resistant paints and sealants, galvanized metals, those kinds of things. So the manufacturer's doing their part. I think the owner's part is the opportunity to rinse the bottom of the car as much as possible. The salt and snow cling to everything and anything underneath, as we can see underneath this particular vehicle. It's very, very difficult to keep an underbody clean in the winter up here, but if you lived in Phoenix, it wouldn't be a problem. So, you know, it's specific to the geographic area. So certainly washing your car regularly, a good underbody rinse at a commercial car wash is important. If you can get your car inside a heated garage and completely thaw it out, rinse it off a little bit yourself, those kinds of things, it will really help because it makes the car heavy and it makes it hard to move.
And that's a good point, because I know I just have not bothered washing my car because I'm like, it's ice on it, it's snow, and it's just going to get dirty again. But it's really important to kind of wash your car daily. Now, what about the outside of the car as far as the paint is concerned?
There are wonderful products that actually car dealers can sell you that will protect the paint surface if you don't want to protect it yourself. Really, it depends on how much you love your car and whether you're willing to give up a couple afternoons a year to give your car a good, complete, very good quality wax. So it can be done by the layperson without a doubt. You just go out there and wax your car. The paint is just as fragile as the underbody of the cars in some cases, and the chemicals that are on the highway today go after the paint just like they do the underside. So waxing is a really important thing. Washing is a really important thing.
So now we're going to move over here and talk about some of the fluids that you have to get that engine running and keep it running at a high speed. Talk to us about what you have here.
Certainly. We've talked in past opportunities about heat and additives for the gasoline. Condensation does form in the gas tank. It's not like you poured water in your gas tank. It just gets there naturally because of the heating and cooling process. So you may want to consider providing some additives to the gasoline or additives to the diesel fuel to make sure that that liquid gets to the motor so the motor can run. And that's all we're talking about, is the ability for the liquid to leave the gas tank or the diesel fuel tank, get up to the motor. The other thing that we have here are motor oils, and there's a lot of technology in motor oil. Because cars create a lot of heat in their engines, and because oil gets thick when it's cold, manufacturers like Mobil have made oils that are chemically smart. And so when the oil becomes up to a car operating temperature, it gets thicker. And when the oil is cold, like on a morning this morning, the oil becomes thinner, and it's a kind of a magic oil, so to speak. So cold weather, we want the oil to move quickly up to the upper part of the engine and lubricate it. All those parts want to have oil around them on a regular basis. But yet in the warmer temperatures, that oil takes on characteristics of thickening itself magically. And so it also protects in warm temperatures. So blended oils, 0W30, 5W40, those kinds of things. You look at that, and your owner's manual is going to tell you what weight oil to put in your car. It's really important to use that weight.
Okay. And lastly, really quickly, what about antifreeze? How important is that in this weather?
Well, interestingly enough, it's really important, and I think that we've become quite complacent with regards to the power of antifreeze. It keeps your motor from freezing. Antifreeze, historically, people might go in past winters, it'll be okay if it's good to 0. It'll be okay if it's good to +10 or something like that. We really need antifreeze to protect it to temperatures like we have out here, minus 20, minus 30. And antifreeze is something that does deteriorate. You want to keep that antifreeze the ability so your motor literally does not freeze on a cold night.
Well, thank you so much, Jim. And as we found out, Sam, our cars are not as durable as we think they are, especially in these cold temperatures. So we got to make sure to take care of them. Back to you, Ashley Kirkland, reporting live in Marquette, TV6 News.